A long and uneventful month passed since the encounter with the Guardian. Ever since I was ambushed by those phantom agents, I haven't had even one incident that involved them. During those weeks, I've occasionally thought about the Guardian, as I've wondered what exactly he was doing to protect me. I haven't seen nor heard any mention of him at all since he saved my life. I sometimes wondered if he was just a figment of my imagination. But I knew all too well that the emotions I felt were very real. There wasn't much for me to do. The directors have halted all missions for scout agents as an investigation was underway for the head scout's murder. I hated not being able to do anything, so I spent most of my time working out at the Seeker's training gym. It distracted me from the cruel reality that enveloped me, as well as prevented me from dying of boredom. After spending at least 6 hours in the gym, I normally would have gone to a small jazz cafe I found to enjoy the various groups that came and performed. I was sitting on the chair by my balcony. I took out my mother's necklace and examined it. It was made from silver, and I had my mother's name written on it. Catherine. My eyes softened as I remembered her wearing it all the time, even while she slept. She said it provided her with a sense of comfort, as it was a gift from her father who died when she was just a child. My mother was a very spiritual woman, though she wasn't exactly very forthcoming with her faith. She preferred to have kept it private, but her beliefs were very influential on my brother and I. Memories associated with the necklace brought a sad smile to my face. I clutched a piece of jewelry close to my chest. My eyes snapped shut as I tried to hold back the old lingering emotions. A rebellious lone tear slipped past my defenses, and a wet trail slithered down my cheek. A barely audible tap resounded on my balcony door. I swiftly brushed the tear stain away and instinctively grabbed a gun from the table. Who the hell was tapping on my door? I made my way to the door. Cautiously, I grabbed the handle and opened it slowly. The warm breeze of the mid-spring air encompassed my apartment. The sun had set about an hour ago. The moon took over as a light source. Its sheer brilliance lit me up, while everything else was shrouded in darkness. I narrowed my eyes in annoyance at my disadvantage. The sound of footsteps came from behind me. I whipped my body around and aimed my gun at the general direction. A dark figure walked towards me, appearing like a supernatural being when illuminated in the moonlight. I lowered my gun when I realized it was the Guardian. "It's you," I said. "What are you doing here?" The man in question cocked his head back.
I'm your guardian, Agent Moore. It's my duty to keep an eye on you.
I raised an eyebrow. It certainly didn't seem that way when you disappeared for a whole month. My comment seemed to have caught the Guardian off guard, for he stumbled a bit, obviously at a loss.
I was merely studying your activities. I didn't abandon you, if that's what you're suggesting. I had to learn your schedule to ensure you wouldn't be alone at any time.
He replied, almost embarrassed. I blinked. Oh, I simply stated. So you are always watching me? The Guardian nodded. The movement covered even more of his face in the shadows. I self-consciously rubbed my head, a habit I developed whenever I was embarrassed. My gesture must have snapped the Guardian out of his momentary embarrassment.
Your hair's down,
he simply stated. My hand froze in place as I took in what he said. I looked up at him to find him staring at me with that same intensity he seemed to have reserved for me. Yes, I said. It is. The Guardian diverted his glance from my face to my hair.
Why do you keep it up?
He asked. It was an innocent question, but since it came from him, it seemed more like an interrogation. I placed my hands behind my back and rubbed my arm. It gets in my way whenever I'm on missions. It would be easier to just cut it, but I made a promise not to. I realized that I said too much, and quickly snapped my mouth shut. The Guardian cocked his head at me once more. He probably even raised an eyebrow, though it was hard to tell underneath his hood. I cursed myself for saying too much. I couldn't believe that by being in the presence of this man, it had made me openly say things that I normally kept private. The Guardian ignored my earlier reaction, and walked towards me until he was directly in front of me. I looked up at him and stared directly into his gray eyes. He too was looking at me, as he observed me like a specimen under a microscope. Boldly, the Guardian delicately took a strand of my hair and rubbed it in his gloved hand. My eyes narrowed. The Guardian realized that his action was too close for comfort. He let go of my hair and took a few steps back. He coughed as he tried to push away the uneasy tension in the air.
Do you like music?
He asked, after a moment. I gave him a confused look. Yes, I do. Why? The Guardian ruffled through one of his numerous pockets and took out a piece of paper. He gave it to me and showed me the front side. It stated that Salute to Vienna would be playing on the Grand Theatre on May 16th. In accordance with the date today, that was about 5 weeks away. I glanced up at him. Why are you showing me this? I asked.
I figured it'd be something you'd like. I was trying to make you more comfortable during this phase.
The Guardian replied smoothly. Annoyance took a hold of me once more. He obviously knew a lot about me, yet I knew absolutely nothing about him. I placed a ticket in my pocket. Seeming to take his cue, the Guardian turned his back towards me and gave me one last glance.
I'll leave it to you to decide whether you wish to attend or not. We will meet again.
He started to walk away, when once again my damn mouth went off on its own accord. Wait! The Guardian looked back at me. I spoke. I have something for you. I made a gesture to instruct the Guardian to wait, and quickly went back to my apartment. I rummaged around my closet and took out the object of interest. I sped-walked back to my balcony, where the Guardian was still waiting. I held out the piece of clothing. I forgot to give you back your coat, though it seems you got plenty more, I blabbered out. I couldn't read the Guardian's facial expression as he took the coat from my grasp. I stood still as he rolled it up carefully and placed it over his shoulder.
Thanks,
he said. I nodded. Yeah, no problem. I quietly took a deep breath. Since I returned your coat, I think it's fair that I at least know your name. For a moment, there was just silence as the Guardian debated on my request. Finally, he turned his head towards me.
Very well. You may refer to me as Agent Delta.
With that, he jumped down the building's fire escape into the dark ground below. I stood there for a few minutes, contemplating on the Guardian's weird behavior. I suppose it's because I've never had any interaction with his rank. I shook my head and took out the ticket. As I looked down at it, I noticed that I missed a very important detail. The sight almost made me groan in annoyance. Great, I said. It's a masquerade theme. Not wanting to stand out anymore, I went back into my apartment and double-checked that my balcony door was locked.